This is a famous quote. Do you recall the movie where this line, Riley Reese, do you remember it? There you go. Okay. So, this is the scene. The purpose of the magic mirror was to build up. Was she a queen? Is that what she was? I don't know. She was insecure. That's what I know. But anyway. So if you haven't seen Snow White, don't worry. I'm going to show you an updated version of the magic mirror on the wall, which really illustrates kind of the big idea of today. So enjoy the next 2 minutes.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all?
Well, technically you're not a king.
Thelonious, you were saying?
What I mean is, you're not a king yet. But you can become one. All you have to do is marry a princess.
Go on.
So, just sit back and relax, my lord, because it's time for you to meet today's eligible bachelorettes. And here they are. Bachelorette number 1 is a mentally abused shut-in from a kingdom far, far away. She likes sushi and hot tubbing anytime. Her hobbies include cooking and cleaning for her 2 evil sisters. Please welcome Cinderella. Bachelorette number 2 is a cape-wearing girl from the land of fancy. Although she lives with 7 other men, she's not easy. Just kiss her dead, frozen lips and find out what a live wire she is. Come on, give it up for Snow White. And last, but certainly not least, Bachelorette number 3 is a fiery redhead from a dragon-guarded castle surrounded by hot, boiling lava. But don't let that cool you off. She's a loaded pistol who likes pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. Yours for the rescuing, Princess Fiona! So, will it be Bachelorette number 1, Bachelorette number 2, or Bachelorette number 3?
1, 3.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Oh, okay. Number 3.
Lord Farquaad, you've chosen Princess Fiona.
If you like pina
Princess Fiona.
if you're not,
She's perfect. All I have to do is just find someone.
But I probably
who can go-
should mention the little thing that happens at night.
I'll do it.
Yes, but after sunset.
Silence! I will make this Princess Fiona my queen, and Duloc will finally have the perfect king. Captain, assemble your finest men. We're going to have a tournament.
So if you're familiar with Shrek, you'll recall Lord Farquaad has a problem. He's not anywhere where he wants to be in terms of his life. He's not a king, he's not big, he's not powerful. So what he has to do is construct a life based on external approval and external accomplishments. And so here, this magic mirror on the wall, listen to what he asks. Is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all? So what he's saying is, magic mirror, what I need you to do is to tell me that I matter. I need you to tell me that I'm important. Make me feel good about myself. Right? And so one of the things that we tend to do with a movie like Shrek, it's like, okay, it's a comedy, it's funny, and so on. This is a human problem that it's tapping into. Okay? I don't think that was necessarily its purpose, but what happens is when we seek our approval and our identity in the wrong place, bad things happen. So I threw up this question here that I just wanted you to think about a little bit. How much should we care about what others think of us? Usually when someone tells you how much they don't care about something, it's a pretty good indicator that they do care a lot. It usually means they're pretty threatened by whatever's going on, right? If they give you like, I don't even care, like whatever. Like really? Because you've told me 8 times how much you don't care. You know what that tells me? You care a lot and don't know what to do about it. And then the second question, how much do we usually care about what others think of us? Oftentimes it's probably more than it should be. And here's why this matters for you right now in 2016. Solomon said over 3,000 years ago, there's nothing new under the sun, right? So in other words, we just sort of keep recycling through issues. But I do think here's something that's different. Believe it or not, I'm not all that much older than you are. Okay? I can still remember my teenage years. You have it harder than I did in terms of handling this idea of external approval. Because you have so many more feedback loops than we did. I had it simpler, and I'll walk you through what I mean. Came upon an article over the summer that was talking about how we seek validation. So the title, Seeking Validations from Others May Be Ruining Your Life. Now, this part right here, Facebook. Some of you may be lost right here because frankly, kids don't use Facebook very much. Facebook was really cool. I remember getting calls and emails from parents years ago saying, my junior high kid wants a Facebook. What do you think? Because Facebook was really it. First there was MySpace in the mid-2000s, then MySpace crashed and burned, and then it became Facebook. Yeah, it was like, I thought I was doing well with a MySpace reference. I still have an account somewhere. They won't let me delete it. So what I'm going to change it to is this. Instead of Facebook, don't think about Facebook. Think about identity. How to know if your identity habits are becoming unhealthy. Now, the other thing is you're in junior high. Junior high is where identity formation really, really kicks in. I think it starts oftentimes in 6th grade, but I think it really accelerates into junior high. But it doesn't stop there. Right, so my oldest daughter's a senior. I don't know where she's going to be next year, but it's not going to be BCS. She's going to be graduated. So she's going to have to all of a sudden figure out, what do I do now? In a sense, who am I now? Because school has a way of shaping how we think about ourselves and how we see ourselves. Okay? Aiden and Eric, I need you guys right here. Okay? Yeah, you're not subtle. So I'm going to read you a couple of things. Here's the intro from this article. It says, let's face it, everyone wants to be liked. It feels good when someone pays you a compliment or likes a photo we post on Facebook. But do you ever feel preoccupied with wanting attention from someone? Have you ever found yourself obsessing over what that person could be thinking about you? Or stuck on that time when your friend made a negative comment? Most of us can say we've experienced or continue to experience on some level that annoying, anxious feeling. When we're focused on people's responses to us, good or bad, what we're really doing is looking for their approval. We want to know that we're liked and what we do is good. And if all that lines up, then we'll feel accepted. We measure up. While this experience is entirely common for us as humans, it brings huge problems. Right? We're wired to get our approval from someone other than Jesus. We just are. Okay? So here's a couple of quotes. I'm talking about these big problems. When we are grasping for feedback from other people, we give them an authority in our own lives. In essence, we're asking them to tell us who we are. Now, here's the key point here. If someone pays you a compliment, if I see Stephen and I say something nice to him, okay, just say thank you. Like, feel good about that and accept that. Okay? Here's what read it again. When we are grasping for feedback. In other words, I am doing this so that you will respond and respond in a way that I like. One of the businesses that has really taken off, all right, is counseling for adults who have a problem with this. So what they'll do is this, like let's say they go on a vacation. Vacations cost a lot of money. And the main thing they'll do on vacation is that they will take thousands of pictures and they will post a few. And they are trying to get likes and comments. So what happens if they don't? You post some more. Well, what happens if people don't comment on that? Then you post some more. And they can't stop. So eventually they end up on a psychologist's couch going, I'm a mess and I can't deal with this because people aren't liking my pictures. Right? This is a problem. And these are adults. Okay? It continues. Okay, one of the main problems is looking for validation from other people is that it can't actually fix that restless feeling that you feel, and here's why. You see, that nagging desire to get responses from others is not actually about those other people. What it's really about is how you feel about yourself. If you're on a quest for another person's approval, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't completely approve of yourself. Now, I'm going to pause right here and say, this is not a self-esteem talk. This is not, you're a winner and live your best life now. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we've got to be really intentional and thoughtful about how we think about ourselves. Because here's what's happening. Like the Shrek clip, Lord Farquaad was defining himself through somebody else. Did he care at all about the princess that he chose? No. Why did he care about her? She was pretty, but more than anything else, why? Yes, and then everything would be perfect. Now, what happens if he marries her, and now he's a king, but he doesn't like her or finds a better queen? What will he most likely do? Kate? Yeah, he'll dump Fiona and get a better queen, because this is about me. And this is what happens when we think this way. So here's the question that I want you to consider. Part of the anytime I speak, I choose a topic that everybody, adults included, can get something out of. There's a place for you here. So the question I'm asking you is, who or what is your magic mirror? Who or what are you hoping and asking for feedback from to make you feel important, to tell you that you're important? This is a human being issue, right? So we're going to spend a little time walking through this. Now, I'm going to use a social media example. You may or may not care about this one, and if you don't, replace it in your mind with something that you do. But this seems to be a biggie. This is a big one in my house. I have 3 kids. They're on Instagram all the time. I was on Instagram before my kids and got off quickly. But I get it. I'm familiar with it. My kids can watch. First thing my middle daughter does every day is go get her phone. First thing. They have to keep it in our room, mom and dad's room. So I have to come in and get it. And she's checking her Instagram feed. First thing in the morning. 5:30 when she gets up. Okay? This is the real thing, all right? This is a real thing. So here's what Instagram can do. It started out as just a way of sharing pictures, and then it became much more. So we have all these Instagram feeds dedicated to how to make your feed look better. For what reason? Well, here's reason 1, and here's reason 2. We need action. We need action on the feed. Okay? I've heard kids talk about their feelings about their feed. I really like my feed right now. Okay, my feed is looking good right now. Or I got to get some more action on my feed. All right? I took a student to Washington, D.C. We went to the Lincoln Memorial. And he took a picture of the Lincoln Memorial, and we're walking away back towards the bus. And he's looking at it, and he goes, that looks pretty good. He's like, I got to get out there, got to get me some likes. And I'm thinking, that's pretty much why Abe Lincoln gave his life for his country. So you can get likes from his memorial, right? But that's how he's thinking. He kind of missed the whole point of the Lincoln Memorial. It was all about, I got to get me some likes, right? And this is how we think, right? Social media, in part, affects the way we think. The operating system of your phone will quickly become your operating system if you're not careful. Okay? When you think about it. I mean, the iOS 10 update came out. It was a big, big change. Now, maybe you're this person. And because of poor choices on Instagram, your feed is lame. Your feed is flat. So there's a sense of desperation that you have because your lack of a feed is a self-esteem crisis. Well, fear not, because this is 2016. So if you don't have enough followers, you can just buy them. And I will tell you this. This doesn't really fool people. Particularly this and this. So like, for example, One of my daughters had a friend or two in junior high, and they would put out a picture, and within, an hour, it had like 582 likes. Now, you know what the problem is? They don't even know 582 people, let alone get 582 likes, let alone within an hour, let alone when it's a picture of their shoes. Right? They weren't fooling anybody. But what were they trying to do? I'm important because I have a lot of likes. I got a lot of action on my feed. Well, you don't really have action on your feed. You just have a fake feed. You just have fake followers. You have fake friends. But we live in a culture in 2016 where it doesn't matter if it's fake as long as it looks real and as long as it makes you feel important. All right? Continuing on with another, this is actually from 1 Samuel 18. Just so you know, this isn't a new problem. All right? So this is some scripture. This is when King David Saul was still king. And David was kind of his top soldier. So it says here, as they were coming home, when David returned from striking down the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with songs of joy, and with musical instruments. And the women sang to one another as they celebrated. Saul has struck down his thousands, which militarily, that's a good battle. It's a good campaign. Now, if you know the story, you know what's coming next. So he struck down his thousands. What did David do? Uh-oh. And it continues, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very angry, and this saying displeased him. He said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed thousands. And what more can he have but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day on. So in other words, Saul didn't say, you know what, good for David. This is something I need to think about. I need to kind of examine where my heart is. No, he spent the rest of his life trying to put a spear through David's forehead. Why? Because he was insecure, because David was more popular. These are adults thousands of years ago. This is not a new problem. But what we do now is we don't need people singing and dancing around us. Now we carry around the feedback loop in our pocket. And it is going 24 hours a day. It never stops. Okay? 3 areas of concern that I want you to think about. First one is this idea of external approval. We are wired for external approval. You ever watch a 1-year-old kid? What do? They'll cry, see what kind of reaction they get. If they do something cute, and adults laugh and smile and say how wonderful, what does the kid do? Do it again, and again, and again, well past the point of being cute. Now you're annoying, but you're a year old, so I'll give you a pass. Right? That's not all that different than how we are now. We're just more sophisticated. External approval is an issue. Value determined by metrics. I'm going to say this carefully. You are not what your Instagram feed says you are. You are not a set of numbers. The more followers you have does not make you more important. And here I will say this. If you don't have an Instagram feed, if you don't have a phone, you are not less important. You're not missing out. Because that is the fear. I realize that's hard, but you have to ask yourself, if this is so important to me, what does that say about the state of my heart right now? That's a hard question to ask. Okay? And then finally, the creation versus creator. Here's what I mean. All of you have gifts, all of you have talents. And we tend to display those things and then try to get feedback for them. Mine was athletics. I was an athlete all through junior high, all through high school, all through college. I was the guy who got noticed because of my size. And so I would get asked a lot of questions. I would get a lot of feedback from that. I would get a lot of praise for that. And so what happens is it quickly kind of becomes an identity. Well, then what happens over time, though? you quit competing. Either because somebody's better and or because your body breaks down. Both were the case with me. By the time I was 23, I was all beat up. But I still look like a jock. I still look like part. So guess what? People kept asking me. I have been asked in my life how much I bench press. I'm not making this up. Probably well over, I would say, 1,000 times. I still get asked that. And I'm almost 46 years old. I haven't done a big-time bench press in probably 15 years because my shoulders are ruined from, ironically, heavy bench press. I get asked, where do you play football? I've never played a down of football in my entire life. Really? Wow. Right? After a while, you kind of just go, cool. And that becomes an idol real quick. Okay? That becomes an idol real quick. So for me, athletics was my magic mirror. That was it for me. I never intended it to be. I never saw it coming. But boy, when I hit my late 30s and my body quit on me in terms of athleticism, it became real apparent real fast. That's why I say, what is your magic mirror? Because you have one, and we got to be aware of it. Okay? I love this verse from Galatians. It says this is out of chapter 2, verse 20. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Part of Christianity is having a Christ-like identity. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself up for me. See, here's the great thing about Christ. So like I said, my magic mirror was athletics. That's been taken from me. I'm not athletic anymore. I got arthritic knees and I got bad shoulders. I've had back surgery, and that's all right. But I'm not an athlete. I'm not a jock anymore. The list of what I can't do is much longer than the list of what I can do. Christ's death, once and for all. How much does he love me? He died for me. That can never be taken away. And also, I didn't earn it. What a gift. That's a whole different way of looking at yourself. All right? So here's a list of what you are not. And I'll explain each a little bit here. You are not a set of metrics. You are not your numbers. Okay? You are not your GPA. You are not how many points you scored in your last basketball game. You are not how many Instagram followers you have. You are not how popular your comment string is. You're none of those things. Right? But numbers make us feel good. I'm more important because of this. Right? I'm more important. One of the issues that we've gone through in social media that you've heard about, is this idea, what does it mean to be a friend? I have a lot of friends. That's just a number. The number of friends you actually have is probably much smaller. So don't define yourself by a set of numbers. Secondly, you are not your gifts and talents. Okay? So I'm going to use Camden as my example. Okay? Camden's a dancer. She's a good dancer. You will not always be a dancer. There's going to come a point where your body just can't do it anymore. Okay? And that's fine. And Cam, you use that as long as you can for the glory of God and good of others. But if you make it who you are, now what? When you're not a dancer anymore. Okay? I mean, we kind of go down, right? Ike's a good football player. Ike's a good athlete. But like me, you're going to hit that point where it's like, well, not anymore. All right? And now you're scar tissues and stories. All right? That's stories. That's what I have. And that's okay. Some of you, it's really big about grades. All right? You know what my parents have not put on their fridge ever? My report cards. All right? I don't go home to my parents' house and there it was, sophomore year, 1987. I was a good semester. How sad is that? Mom, can we laminate this? That'd be great. You're not your report card, good or bad. You know what seniors are going through right now? College. Not all colleges are created equally. Because some of you get into a college. I went to Seattle Pacific. Now, if I had gone to SPU, I went to SPU, but if I'd gone to Bellevue Christian, people would have known SPU. But I went to a big public high school in Oregon. So people literally where are you going? I'm going to Seattle Pacific next year. Where's that? Seattle. Oh, yeah. Right? Nobody heard of SPU. There was no status in going to SPU whatsoever at my high school. But if I said, I'm going to Stanford, right? I go through the same thing now. I work in education, right? I work in education. Do you know why people aren't amazed by that? Because how many of them were involved in education in their own life? All of them. They've all been to school. Nobody's like, school, tell me more. Right? So if I put status in my job, and I love my job, I love coming to work, but if that becomes my identity, now I'm at the mercy of what other people think, and if they don't like it, now what? Right? So you are not your gifts and talents. Those are gifts, literally gifts to you. Enjoy them, use them for the glory of God and good of others, but they are not who you are. This is one I might need to explain a little bit. I think one of the trends in kid culture right now, and adult culture for that matter too, we tend to think of ourselves like a business. Because what do businesses spend a lot of money doing? Marketing and advertising. And they want to make their product look as good and desirable as possible, right? Even if, I don't know, I watch a lot of sports, and with sports come a lot of these pharmaceutical commercials. I don't know if you've watched some of these, but the list of what might go wrong is probably half the commercial, right? So you're taking this test, somehow help your liver work a little better. And they're like, some side effects may include, liver disease. You're like, what? Right? And sometimes even death. You're like, that seems like a bad trade-off to me. Right? But what are they doing? They're showing people walking around being happy, and they're young, and they're active, and they're pretty, and they're just, like, this gave me my life back. Well, unless you have the side effects, in which case you'll lose your leg and, die soon. So you might want to watch over that. But what I think is, I think a lot of kids, and frankly a lot of adults, Facebook people do this, they present this best version of their life. It's a glamorized life. The Instagram life is the curated life. Here's the best picture of me. Here's the best filter. Here's this, I want you to really think well of me. So they view their feed and their posts like commercials. And I'm trying to create this best image of what I'm doing. It may or may not be true, but the motive is what concerns me. And finally, what anyone or anything says you are. Here's what I mean. We live in a culture that is quick to praise and even quicker to criticize. To be a public figure these days, good luck.